Shalom, all praises to Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi, bahasham, Racha, Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, laboring the word and doctrine. Shalom, and in peace. May that be unto the elect of the nation of Israel. So I'm going to do a quick hit on the first few verses of Revelation 21, similar to a recent one, on Revelation 22. So starting at verse 1, it said, "And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea." And now this represents rulership. Okay, let's see an example of that. Luke 10 and 19, and he said unto them, "I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven." And this Satan, which Lucifer doesn't mean Satan. Lucifer means light bearer. But this light bearer is adversarial, and diabolic. See Isaiah 14, and this is about the downfall of Babylon the Great. It says, Isaiah 14 and 12, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?" And this is saying, it tells you in verse 4, it says that thou should take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how hath the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased. So it's not talking about a spiritual demon, Satan, a spiritual entity. It's talking about a physical, a carnal entity, right? And it's talking about the king of Babylon and him ceasing as being from oppression, or his oppression ceasing rather, and his city ceasing, right? So it's talking about the king of Babylon coming out of power. And they said, what? How art thou fallen from heaven? So you've come out of power, you've come out of that heaven, that rulership estate. Verse 13, "For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High." Right? So, in his heart, which has deceived him, that dwelleth in the clefts of the rock, he's believed, he's on high. He's even above the Most High. He's on high. He's above the other nations, or at least is until the time this prophecy being fulfilled. But he's not above the Most High. But he believes he is, right? Who exalteth himself above all that is called God. Right, like it says in 2 Thessalonians 2. Also the prince of Tyrus, that's him. That's the same devil. So it says, verse 14, "I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit." Right, and if you get into this Hebrew word for hell, this word Sha'awal. Okay, Sha'awal. So Sheol, underworld, grave, hell, pit. And that's what it means. It means grave or pit. Hell is just another word for grave. It says the underworld, Sheol, the OT designation for the abode of the dead. Right, which your physical goes down to the ground, and your spirit goes up. It tells you that in Ecclesiastes. It says, "Place of no return, without praise of the Most High, wicked sent there for punishment, righteous not abandoned to it, of the place of exile, of extreme degradation and sin." Right, because sin leads to death, leads to the ways of death. Right, so that's a heaven and an earth. Also, you got this in Ecclesiastes. This is Ecclesiastes 1 and 4. "One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever." Right, so the earth is always there. So they'll be thinking the earth is going to implode like the Death Star, as the apostles say. Not that they teach that, but they teach other people are teaching that, and that's incorrect. Verse 1 again, Revelation 21. "And I saw a new heaven and a new earth." Right, so a new rulership. "For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea." Right, there was no more of their rulership. It passed away. So 2 Ezra 6 and 9 says, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." Right, so that proves which man is ruling, and which man is coming up afterwards. When I say man, I mean the descendants of that man. Verse 2, And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from the Most High, out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Right, and that is Israel being, caught up, if you like, which you can see Matthew 24, verse 31. It says, "And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other." Alright, and so they're going to go up. Lord willing, we be of that number. But the elect will be going up, right, caught up in a cloud. Okay, so when they go up into heaven, another one you can get is Thessalonians, 1 Thessalonians 4 and 15, chapter 4, verse 15. "For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, and with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of the Most High, and the dead in Hamashiach shall rise first." Right, so them that have perished, their flesh has perished, Salachia, and when their spirit has remained, they will be given new bodies first. Okay, because they kept right until the end. Their flesh perished, so they died or rested in Yahawashi. It said, "And the dead in Hamashiach shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And so shall we ever be with the Lord." Alright, so that's talking about that gathering, the gathering of the elect. In verse 18, "Wherefore comfort one another with these words." Because this is the stuff we need to take comfort in. Not in your Cardi B entertainment, which you can have entertainment, but use the world, don't abuse the world. So them, the elect, they're caught up in the air, them being brought back down, is that holy city. So it's 2 Maccabees. Let's just fact check this. 2 Maccabees 5 and 19. "Nevertheless, the Most High did not choose the people for the place's sake, but the place for the people's sake." Alright, so Jerusalem is actually a people before a place. What does Jerusalem mean? Right, the city of peace. Right, so that's the rulership under Yahawashi, right, under King David. And that's the rulership, us finally getting that peace. After all we get here is hell. Death, everything. "Who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death." That's the man that's ruling, the man of sin. The wages of sin is death. So that's what surrounds us. Right, the valley of the shadow of death, for the brothers out there in Babylon, man. The valley of dry bones. Right, but now, and I'm talking in the future, at the time of this prophecy, when it's fulfilled, that's new Jerusalem. Right, we're renewed in the new covenant, the New Testament, which is being changed and only being able to do righteousness. Okay, Revelation 21 and 2. "And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from the Most High out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband." Right, 2 Corinthians 11 and 2 tells you that Apostle Paul is jealous over the elect because he's espoused them, Lord willing us, unto Hamashiach, unto Yahawashi. Right, the Heavenly Father is our husband, proverbially, reading Isaiah 45 and 4, 54 and 5, my usual go-tos. Okay, verse 3, and that's, the consummation of the marriage, like it says, "I've made thee, been a husband unto thee, that I've surnamed thee, but thou hast not known me." Right, how did Adam and Eve know each other? Yadai, in the Hebrew, Yadai. Right, so Adam knew his wife Eve, and she bare again. Right, so we've not consummated the marriage, because we've always gone off. But in this new time, that will be the perfect rulership, man. Revelation 21 and 3. "And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of the Most High is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and the Most High himself shall be with them, and be their power." Right, so what men? The men of Jerusalem. Right, the Israelites. Verse 4, "And the Most High shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away." Right, when it says their eyes, that's a possessive. Whose eyes? right? These same Israelites' eyes. When you read in Revelation, the 7th chapter, it talks about the sealing of the elect. And then it talks about the same concept, right? So you have to understand this whole role is dealing with Israel, man. You can't take it out. It's integral. It's rooted. Revelation 7 and 17. For the Lamb which is in the midst of the throne shall feed them, and shall lead them unto living fountains of waters, and the Most High shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. That tree of life. Again, touching back upon the recent video. I'll leave it there. Keep it short. Pray it was edifying. On to the next one, Lord willing. All praises to Yahawah. Bahasham Yahawashi. Bahasham Rakha Kodash. Shalom.